Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 4 of How Stories Work. Today, I'm going to look at the second episode of The Great, season 1, called A Fake Beard. If we go into the premise builder here and the genre, relationship drama, you'll see here, put the objective story plot and psychology and the main character through line in mind. The main character in this, just like the first episode, is Catherine the Great. Although in this one, she's less in mind. It's less about her infatuation with love. And it's more about, in this episode, it's about her position as the Empress and pretending that everything is good and going along well. And then the influence character is not Peter and it's not Mariel, but it is Orlo is his name. You have all the really fun stuff in their relationship where she tries to seduce him. That's very much a physics domain, the seduction part of it, because there's tons of misunderstandings between the two of them. In fact, that's why I would instantly go up here to the profound family of narrative elements, because it's really about the focus on them understanding each other and understanding where they're coming from, misreading signals. You'll see it changed all the plot elements here to match this understanding. So in order to keep the story consistent, the main concerns of every through line have to be in the same similar family. And here I've labeled those the profound family because they usually have something profound about them. So we have the objective story plot here in conceptualizing, which is basically planning a coup. She is dealing with the past. There's not a whole lot in here, but it's more about her past decision to come to Russia and dealing with what it is that she agreed to do and sticking with that. Then Orlo here in memory, it's not that he has to remember something, but it is that he recognizes that free will is something that's important, but he's somehow forgotten in himself. That's how all of 4 of these through lines are balanced in this one episode. Down here, a conventional relationship drama is usually driven by decisions. This one is very much driven by actions, so that it's the action at the end, particularly when Peter forces Orlo to shave that guy's beard, and then he does it. That is what forces him to make the decision to eventually go on Catherine's side. So I would still make that action. The other reason for making that action in the story form is that Catherine is very much a doer. So when you have a main character through line, either in universe or physics, they're dealing with external things, and she's very much a part of the story. She's very much right along with it and doesn't resist it. She's not really thrilled about it, but when it comes time to poke eyes out, she's right in there. And so then that's why I would have the driver match the level at which the main character through line is at. So here it's at universe, so it's external. So then you have external action. And then we'll just keep it reason. The structure of the story is organized through linear cause and effect. That one's an easy one. The point of the premise, this is different from the first episode. So in the first episode, she's the one that changed. She abandoned an old way of thinking. In this one, she's steadfast. So she maintains a line of thinking that then converts or convinces Orlo to change. When you have the main character and the influence character, whichever one remains steadfast, the other one is the one that changes. And that's really important because that's how you communicate what the story is about. You can't have both characters do 180 because then it doesn't mean anything. So we have that steadfast. And then the ending is definitely a success because she gets him to come around to her side. She feels great about it. And then the core central argument between the two of them, between Catherine and Orlo, is this argument between ability and desire. So think of desire as being happy. Why aren't you happy? Put a smile on your face, that kind of thing. So she's very much there and she'll do whatever it takes to get people either attracted to her or whatever she needs to do to get to that place. And then Orlo is very much about ability. Like we can't prevent people from being able to do the things that they want to do. But then all he thinks about is whether or not he's going to get killed. So I can't do that thing. I don't have the ability to do that because I'll be killed. Down here, what happens is when you pick desire as the central element attached to Catherine, then her arc is to deal with inequity, which is the unfairness that she's dealing with, and doesn't give up, doesn't get any kind of peaceful resolution, but just maintains that inequity. And then the really cool part about the story here is for Orlo is very much about speculations. If you want to talk about bookends, where he's at the beginning of the episode to the end, In the initial part, he's very much just speculating, hey, it might be nice if we let him keep his beard. Maybe it'd be a good thing. It's possible. It's great. And that is what's driving the plot throughout the entire story. Not just Orlo, but everybody else is speculating about whether or not they should actually go along with this and what they can do in order to affect some kind of change in Russia. And then at the end, he just blurts out that thing where he just says, this is what's going to happen. He's projecting. And the difference here is speculation is looking at the future in terms of possibility, whereas projection is when you look at the future in terms of what's most probably going to happen. It's a difference between looking at the possibilities or looking at probabilities. And he's very much, hey, no, this is what's going to happen. And he has that moment. That's his changed moment. That works really nicely with the meaning of this episode. And then over here, you'll see the premise: keep being desired for a group when dealing with the world around you, and you can outdo a group by skillful planning. Now, this is all random through subtext. It's actually pretty close. I'm going to go here for desire, something about being attracted to someone. So not only towards Orlo, but then also trying to make Peter feel like she's attracted to him. So keep doing that when dealing with the world around you, and then you can basically plan a coup and a cultural revolution. It's fine. Keep on that path, stay steadfast, and you will affect change, which you'll see in this other character. So all I'm going to do is build this story, and when it's done, I'll be back. All right, here it is at the very top. So we'll look at this. All right, keep being attracted to someone when dealing with the world around you, and you can plan a cultural revolution. So let's take a look at the story form that it created. You can see all the dynamics up here at the top. Steadfast, she's a doer. It's a linear story. All the major plot points are actions, and the ending is a success, and it was a good thing that she kept up with that. Some things that I see here that stand out: her issue of interdiction. She sees where things are going, and it's, okay, I'm going to try and make this change. Interdiction is when you see, oh, this is going down a bad path. What can I do to actually change it? It also happens to be her unique ability, which is what ties the main character into the objective story. She can actually make change. She's the Empress. She has the ability to do this. It's just whether or not she can get other people to come to her side. You'll see the crucial elements here, which is that central argument that ties all 4 through lines together, which is the focus on what they're able to do versus being more attracted to people or being driven by their desires, or essentially being happy. Circumstances for the objective story issue. When you look at the guy with the beard, it's that emotional circumstance of his wife. If she sees the boils, everything's going to be hell to pay. Him coming into court and asking that creates all kinds of trouble. As opposed to when people are called out on their lies, that brings the conflict in the plot down. And then we have Orlo over here. His issue, suspicion, doesn't want to put his neck out because he knows, hey, I know what happens to people when they actually try and do something different. And then their relationship and all the misunderstandings, all the different conditions. She has no practice in seducing men. He has no practice with women in general, and they're fumbling. And the funny part is the interpretation of what it is that she's actually doing, with the oysters, all that really funny stuff. And then if you look at their plot progression, it's really nice. In the beginning, it's the doing, the seduction, breaking apart there. And then the second act is obtaining. Third act, there's some growing through learning where each of them is coming from. And then finally, this shared understanding at the end, which wraps everything up. So that's it for the story for the second episode of The Great. Again, this is really fantastic because it reminds me of Succession, where every single episode is its own complete story. And you do that by having these 4 through lines and having a point. You're trying to say something where one character has a point of view, and then they end up convincing the other character to adopt that point of view. So whether or not that's the main character convincing the other, as in this episode, or it's another character convincing the main character to switch over, just figure out what that is. And then that's how you create a complete story within a single episode. That's it for How Stories Work, and I'll see you next time.